Hi there, and welcome to Theology Thursday. Today I want to tackle what can be a very complex idea, and I want to see if we can proceed through this and discuss it for just a little bit. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45, we find this statement: "Thus it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit." Now, I just want to talk today about Jesus, and we find this in Romans chapter 5 and some other places, where Jesus is kind of described as the second Adam. So I'll talk about kind of what that means, and I want to really kind of get deep here theologically for a few moments as we do. So Adam represents all human beings, and Jesus represents all Christians, what the Bible calls the elect. They're both representatives for us. But it's interesting, they're both called like the first Adam and the last Adam. And the reason is because there are similarities between Adam and Jesus. There are similarities between us and Adam and us and Jesus. But there are also uniquenesses. I want to talk about that and some of those distinctions and why they become important. So, Adam has a human nature. Eve has a human nature. Their children have a human nature. Their grandchildren have a human nature, all the way through. When Jesus becomes a human being, he takes on human nature. Now, trying to figure out what all is involved in that would take books and volumes, and we probably still wouldn't cover everything. But there are some things that make us human. We are made in the image of God, however you want to understand that, but we are made in the image of God. We have been given dominion over creation. We are moral beings who can think. There's an ethical component to us, a sense of justice that you don't really find anywhere else in creation. So there are a number of things that make us uniquely human. One of those is that we are sinful by nature. We have inherited Adam's nature. Now, this is where this becomes important and tricky. So make sure we clarify what we have here. Adam originally had no sin. So his human nature was innocent of sin. No sin. Then he fell. And so because we have inherited his nature, we are also naturally sinful. Not as bad as we could be, but we are naturally sinful. We've inherited Adam's nature. It's a part of being a human being. That's why we have to teach and instruct people to live morally, and left on their own, people, they start to protest, and then what do? They break windows and steal stuff. Why? Because human nature is for us to be thieves. There's a reason why you lock your car. If you lock your car when you go to the store, if you lock your house, you believe that people are naturally sinful. Because if they're naturally good, you wouldn't worry about them breaking into your car. You wouldn't worry about them breaking into your home. But they're not. We've inherited Adam's nature. Christ also entered our world, like Adam, without sin. He did not have a nature that is sinful because he did not inherit his nature from Adam. That's one of the reasons why the virgin birth is so important. It's kind of a hit the reset button. You know that you can reset your computer to factory defaults. When you've picked up some ghost stuff and maybe a virus or what have you, you can reset it to factory defaults. Jesus is kind of a reset, so to speak, to factory default. Jesus has a human nature, but it's the human nature that Adam had when he was created, one that is not tainted or tarnished by sin. This is one of the reasons why Jesus was able to live his life being tempted like we are, and yet had no sin. So Jesus partook in human nature. Now this becomes important when we think about the fact that Jesus on the cross then takes our sin in himself. He doesn't have to die for his own sin. Doesn't have to die for his own sinful nature. But Jesus needs to die because our nature means that there's death for sin. Okay? So Adam has a sinless nature. He breaks God's rule. He now has a sinful nature, and that nature is passed on to all of his posterity. Jesus is born of a virgin, factory reset. Now he has a sinless nature. He lives that out through his life. Therefore, he is qualified to die as our substitute. Adam would have had to die for his own sin. He couldn't die for ours. So Jesus is sinless, both in nature and in his actions. Now here's where it starts to really get tricky, and I want us to kind of slide some of these lines. Even though Jesus shares a human nature with us, his is untainted by sin, but he has a human nature like we were originally to have. Jesus is a unique person. So Adam and Jesus are not the same person. They may have the same nature, but not the same person. Jesus takes on human nature so that he could die for human beings. But Jesus is not the same person as everyone else. When Jesus meets the woman at the well, he is not her. They are different persons. They may share some aspects of human nature, but they are different persons. Each one of the apostles shares in the same human nature. Jesus shares in their human nature in terms of being moral and made in the image of God and all those other things. The sinless part he doesn't have. That's why he's qualified to die for us. That's why he's called the second Adam. The first Adam failed. The second Adam succeeded. But Jesus is a unique person. So you and I have the same nature. We share in the same human nature. If we put our faith in Jesus Christ, we have a new nature. We are a new creation in Jesus Christ. The Bible will tell us in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. And it's repeated or spoken of again in Romans chapter 5. So we now partake, so to speak, in the nature of Christ, the second Adam as our representative, rather than the first one. That's why we will not go to hell when we die, because our sins have been paid for by the second Adam, who did not have his human nature tainted by sin. So we all share in the same human nature, but each person is individual and unique. So when we talk about Jesus, yes, he's like us. He shares in our human nature. He had skin and hair, and there's some physical issues of that. There are obviously some mental and emotional issues and a whole bunch of other things. So Jesus shares that with us so that he's qualified to die for us on the cross, to pay the penalty for our sin, both our nature and our actions. So Jesus, innocent in both, takes both of those and dies for both our sinful nature and our sinful actions. Jesus dies for both of those. But you and I, when we receive Jesus, do not become him. Even though I now have Christ's nature in me, I'm still a unique person. I have my own unique skills. I have my own unique abilities. I have my own voice. You can recognize one person's voice from another. I have my own DNA. So even though we all share DNA, we all share that part of human nature, we have a very unique individual person. You're created very, very uniquely. So I just want to take a few minutes to just talk about, this business of nature and person. We share nature. We're all individual, unique persons. So celebrate our commonality, but also celebrate your uniqueness. May God bless you, and may you have a wonderful, wonderful day.